Hi. All right. Listen, I had a one-on-one to do at this time, but um, here's what I decided to do. I decided to do a live stream and push my one-on-one to 9 o'clock, so I can talk about some things. Because whenever I get a new client, they don't know or they ask me things why we're texting each other. I just want to make sure the individual know what's up on the what's up. So let me put this out there and say this first. People, um, when my number was public, I was getting about 50 calls a month. That is down from back in 2015 when I was getting about 50 calls a day. And it just I'm going to address some things within the next couple of months. After this COVID thing is over, I can get everything back to what it used to be. But nonetheless, I was getting harassing calls. I was getting a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, it threw my wanting to talk on the phone in dormant. Because of that, I do a lot of my talking through this median this way. So understand when we're texting, I'm not going to call you until I receive funds for service. Because what I'm not going to do is what I used to do. Well, I'm not a salesman. I am not a salesman. I'm not trying to sell nothing to nobody. I have a product that sells itself. I am not going to try to persuade you. I'm not going to do what I used to do, be on the phone with people for an hour, hour and a half, just for them to say, okay, I don't go to court until about 3 or 4 months, but I'll call you. That. All right. So I, the way this works and the way it's been like this for 5 years now, you want to acquire me for services, the first thing we do is we start with the one-on-one. I will minus the one-on-one if you decide to hire us for services. That's how that goes. If not, we had a consultation, we had a one-on-one. You got information, you can ask me anything you want. If you feel as though, hey, I can do this myself, let me do my dance. Cool. I'm just not in the selling business anymore. All right. So that's the way that goes. All right. So with that being said, let us now move on. People, I dug into the brain, and I had to find some things that would make me to help you guys understand um, this thing, this court battle. Now, um, one of the things that make me the hated one is um, um, one of the things that make me the hated one if I speak the truth. All right, individuals, they don't want nothing to do with the truth. So I have to say things that people don't like. And saying things that people don't like, um, that is something that um, when you listen to me, you're going to say, this guy is this guy is that. So let me say this. Check this out. People, the one thing I do not do, the one thing that I do not do, I do not um, I do not um, let me back it up. Let me tell you one thing that I do. I take things that you agree with on another forum, and I help you introduce it to you to this forum to make it more acceptable to be understood. Let me say that again. I take things that you agree with on um, other forums and bring it to this forum to help you understand. That is my job. That is what I do. I'm gonna give you an example of this, such as this. We all will sit down here, and fathers, you will go and tell someone about your unfortunate experiences with court, and what you'll get is you'll get an individual that is, or should I say, an individual that don't understand because they hadn't gone through it. Then I'll say this. When fathers go to court and fight, nobody tends to care. And then when as fathers we talk about these issues, it's like, well, fighting is not a care thing. I mean, what's fighting? What's that? Then I introduce them to fighting from a different perspective of way as such as this. Little Sarah is on her way to school. A van pulls up and tries to abduct little Sarah. Little Sarah fights off her abductor, kicks him in the ding ding. Little Sarah is on Ellen. Little Sarah is on Steve Harvey, Good Day New York, Good Morning America, Oprah. Little Sarah is on every show. And the funny thing is, when I told a woman like this, she was like, well, you said Sarah, so is she white? The stupidity of the estrogen responses that I've gotten in my life. But nonetheless. Little Sarah fights off her abductor. Little Sarah is deemed a hero. Fathers, we go to court and fight. What did you do? What didn't you do? Well, you got to understand. Well, there's no scenario there is no clean cut scenario that anyone would ever say it is wrong when a father has to fight to go to court. Nobody would look at it like that. When a man says he has to fight to go to court, when a man says, I'm in court fighting, it's like, so you're in court fighting, you're supposed to be, etc., etc. All these myths and all these narratives is acceptable. So it is my job to help individuals understand that there are scenarios and things that you're going to encounter that you may not look at, but it is my job to bring this perspective to you. It's my job. And I do a real good job at that. All right? Let me reiterate. I do an excellent job at that. So what I want to bring to you tonight is I want to talk about the custody battle, the fight. I want to talk about when you guys go into court. And I want to talk about when you guys go to court, because a lot of you guys, when you do go to court, what you don't understand is that there's a perspective and there's a narrative when you go to court. And that narrative and that perspective is, unfortunately, they can smell fear. And when you go to court and you exhibit fear, and when you go to court and you say to yourself, I'm nervous, the court's going to know that. And when the courts know you're nervous, what they're going to do is they're going to pretty much put you in a chokehold, and they're going to try their best to intimidate you. So what do you do? How do you counter that? People, how do you counter that? Um, so you go to court and you with your paperwork with your paperwork you file your answer or you file your petition. And at the time when you file your answer and you file your petition, you put in your paperwork, this is non-verbal testimony. You put your paper stuff in your paperwork and you let that do your talking for you. Now let me tell you what happens when you tell the courts you want to do a non-verbal testimony. All right. Let me tell you what happens when you do a non um, when you do a non what's going on, Z? When you do a non-verbal testimony, what they're going to do is they're going to try to get you to break your code. Because when you do a non-verbal testimony, you're now putting things in a situation where they can't criticize you, they can't do none of these things. So what ends up happening when you do a nonverbal testimony is what you should do. And you should do a nonverbal testimony if you can't. There's individuals that don't know how to talk when they go to court. If you don't know how to talk when you go to court, if you're nervous, if you're the type of person that you feel as though when I go to court, I get nervous, I get scared, the judge gonna just route my anal cavity, cool. You gotta know and you gotta do this thing according to your strength and weaknesses. So what you do is the smart thing to do is you file your paperwork with a non-verbal testimony. Now, what does that mean when it says non-verbal testimony? So let me tell you what happens when you go to court and you're not doing a non-verbal testimony, when you're not doing a non-verbal. If I go to court and Atia LaShawn Bradley is doing what she used to do, oh, he's the dumbest person in the world. He don't know how to wipe his butt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I say, Your Honor, I object because that has nothing to do with. And then they're going to try to bend the testimony and say, well, she is just simply saying that you just can't blah 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 blah. Now, when there's a non-verbal testimony, she can say whatever she wants. I'm not saying nothing. Now, what they normally do to get you to break your silence, because once you break your silence, you got to testify. You can't go in there and say this is going to be a nonverbal testimony, and then listen to her say he eat dookie, he do this and do that, and then you say, wait a minute, I know I said I'm not going to testify, but that's a lie. You just broke your nonverbal testimony. Now it's a back and forth, and they're going to talk. For example, let me give you an adequate example of what I'm talking about. Let's just say you go to court. You go to court for contempt. This is a contempt hearing. Atia Bradley did not let me see my kid for 5 months. Here's my proof. This is what she did. I don't want to talk. Now, they'll get you to go, when you go to court, they're going to try to make things in favor of the woman. So what they're going to say is, well, did you try to call him? Because he said, we got police reports on the 5th. And then what the judge is going to try and do is going to try and let the woman talk her way out of everything. Okay, so you did call him and say you wasn't going to be there. How about that, Mr. Smith? She said she called. And now when you answer that, it's okay, well, she tried. So that means nothing. But when you have nonverbal testimony, it doesn't give the other individual a chance to come back with an excuse. Okay? So you don't want to do it. Sometimes, especially when it's a situation where when a lot of you fathers out there, you going through something and it's a contempt or something, you don't want to do no talking. Some of you just don't know how to talk. Some of you are scared. I'm not scared of a judge. They can look at me all day tough. Some of y'all, when the judge look at y'all mean, y'all buckle. Y'all just don't, y'all can't go through it. It's understandable. So what happens if you're that type of person? If you're that type of person, you just do a nonverbal testimony. That's all. Just do a nonverbal. Just say, hey, listen, when I come, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk. I got nothing to say. I said what I said in my paperwork. My paperwork is speaking for me. My testimony is in my paperwork. That's it. Happens all the time. I'm gonna tell you guys a story about a nonverbal that I had with a client. So this client um, had 3 kids, and he had a child's mom that filed a petition in court about this thick. And what she was saying at the time is, I am moving to Texas. I'm getting a $4,000 a year raise. And what she was saying was, I should be allowed to move because it's a $4,000 a year raise. And the strangest thing about this woman asking for a move, anybody with any logic beyond a goat, it just didn't make no sense. So I'm going to tell y'all what she said. She said a couple of things. I'm getting a $4,000 raise. I want to move. Then it went to bashing the father. I need to get away from him. I need to do this. I need to do that. I want to move. I got a promotion. It was all these I's. So when you, the reason why a lot of you guys fail when you go to court is you don't answer each accusation. You must answer each accusation. If she said, on paper that is, if she says and file it, he eats dead goats. I do not eat dead goats. That's a lie. I would like proof on that. You got to answer everything, all right, once it's filed. So I answered the part where she said, I need to just get away from him. I actually, when I put together my client's answer petition, I submitted as Exhibit A, or I think it was Exhibit B, a copy of their divorce decree. And I had to remind this woman, y'all are divorced. So what do you got to get away from him again? When did y'all get back together after the divorce for you to have to get away from him? Then she said, we want to do, I'll send the children back to New Jersey endless times. She said, Easter, Christmas, summer, she was just throwing it all out there. I will give him endless video chats. I answered to the thing with Exhibit A, the flying the children back with Exhibit A. I said, on the mere fact that this woman filed paperwork in court stating that she will give a man endless flight, she'll fly the children back at least 4 times a year to see their father, eliminates a $4,000 a year raise. That $4,000 a year raise out the window. In addition to that, they were Muslim. The father had custody for 176 days out of the year, almost a half a year, like 180 is half. He had the kids for 4 days short of a half a year. I then said, by the mere fact that the days in which she don't have the children now, if the father has the children for 176 days, the mother is going to now absorb at least 140 to 100, 130 to 140 days. That alone will eat up at least $1,500 in food for the family now. That's not. By the time I got done with the paperwork, the $4,000 a year raise she got inquired about $11,000 worth of new debt. She's moving away from her family. Nobody gonna watch the kids. She got to pay for a babysitter. It was like she just didn't factor in nothing. She was just being estrogen and saying, you know what? I can just put this in and I will get it. And we put all this in, but I requested no verbal testimony. Right? Actually, what happened was the female, his ex-wife, Her attorney filed for no verbal testimony. So we had to answer to him, no verbal testimony. We agree. But I told him, I said, I know how this works. Go down to court anyway. He goes down there, and what do you know? He gets up to the courtroom. His ex-wife is standing out there. Her attorney comes out of the courtroom. I don't think they're gonna do it. He's like, what's up? What's up? And then the bailiff comes out and say, counselor, in your case 1825, you required no verbal testimony. And then he said, yeah, but based on his answer, we now want to talk. The bailiff said to my client, who submitted your answer for you? He said, I went to the League of Dads and the National Fathers League. The bailiff, the security lady said, the judge was impressed with your response. A week later, he came to my office bawling, crying to no end. Gave me a thing of champagne. I love you, man. Thank you. Thank you. The judge said, no dice. Your stakes of claim to want to move for $4,000. Get that out of here. Get it out of here. Verbal testimony was used. Probably one of my greatest accomplishments since I've been doing this. When I tell y'all I'm a beast, I'm a beast. When I tell you guys, when it comes to arguing and everything, I got arguments in courts. I'm not trying to argue with nobody. I'm damn sure not trying to argue with my woman. I'm not trying to win nothing. I got my arguments on record. They are on record. I do this thing and I do it well. And the simple reason why I do it well, I stick to the facts. I'm not interested in nothing else. I'm not doing this for no victory. No, I stick to the facts. I stick to the facts. That's it. All right. So just understand that when you guys are dealing with when you guys are dealing with when you guys are dealing with when you guys got it, when it's time to go to court, just know that you may want to opt in for a nonverbal testimony. Just listen. I'm gonna come there. I'm gonna swear in. I ain't saying nothing. You may want to opt in for that, and that works best for individuals that just ain't got it. They're individuals that no matter what, they can't talk. They don't know how to talk. This and that. But before you opt in for nonverbal testimony, people, the reason why I tell individuals why it is best that you always seek out services from individuals such as myself, child advocate groups. We will teach you how to put your paperwork in. People, proper court etiquette get you over. What you can't go to court and say is, let me do my dance. She won't let me see the child. She won't let me see the child is not a legal terminology. The actual term is she's fostering a relationship with father and child. That's the legal terminology. When you understand legal terminology, you'll win. When you go in there with she won't let me and she ain't and all rise, why are we here today? Because she won't let me see the kid. And then the judge say, let him see the kid. And then you be like, well, how come she ain't getting in trouble? Because she ain't let me see the kid is not an untroublable offense. What you got to do is you got to file your paperwork for a contempt hearing. Contempt of court in violation of the current custody court order. You got to know what to say. You can't just put paperwork in. I'm gonna tell you something. I've met 2 individuals out of thousands of guys that I helped that knew that. Everybody else that, I went to court. I'm taking her back to court. Why? Because she won't let me. She won't let me is not a legal term. I want to be clear on that. Okay. Now I got to get out of here, y'all. It was nice talking to you. Shalom.